We are going to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded by the Ways and Means Committee. If any other person present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Sorry. From the recorder. Remind me of your name, Madison. Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call of members. We have everybody present. Thank you. Counselor Bottomley?
Here.
Counselor Sibbons-Nels?
Here.
Counselor Williams?
Here.
Counselor Webb?
Here.
I am here as well. We have no approval of minutes. Sorry, I did not put the sheet out. I will, if you are online and you would like to do public comment, you can put your name and address in the chat box. If you are here and would like to give public comment, you can just come up one at a time and sign. But I'll take public comment now, and you have 3 minutes. I'll lend my pen for this. Sorry about that. I'm just getting my timer app up here.
And I brought a written statement.
Great.
You know that how can we help?
Can you just tell us your name and where you live on your own?
My name is Donna Dussel. I am chairperson of the Recreation Commission, and I live at 20 River Street. And I'm here tonight because I wanted to share with you directly my experience in terms of our budget cycle this year for the Recreation Department. And so I'm going to pretty much stick to my script here. When we submitted our budget, we submitted a total of $300,545. And then we heard from Director Moore that she met with the mayor, and the mayor wanted to cut the middle school position. And so at our meeting directly following, we were looking at a budget that was reduced by $51,682. So we held our regular meeting on March 19th, and the mayor joined us and talked about all of the fiscal issues that we're facing this year and how we have this huge budget gap because of health insurance. She wanted to ask us to work with her, find a solution. So we had an emergency meeting on March 30th to come up with some scenarios to figure out how we could make it work. And what we came up with was a proposal that pretty much stripped everything but salaries from our budget. It resulted in a savings of $17,600. We also had a pledge from the Friends of Greenfield Recreation to put up $7,500 to help cover these costs that would be moving to revolving. And we also voted to increase the fees of the middle school after school program by 60%. And so then we voted on that proposal. And then Christy Moore and I met with the mayor on April 8th to go over this, but it was quite clear from that meeting that it was not going to be something that she was going to be able to budge on. And we were told it's going to be in your budget, it's not going to be in your budget. And that was pretty much that. So currently in your budget book, the proposal that you see from the mayor is for $249,863. This represents that subtraction of the $7,500. And I know that you have been hearing from young people all across the city about how important this after school program is to them. And I also know that at the city council meeting, it was discussed that we could fund it through revolving. And I just feel like that's a big part of the confusion. By law, the recreation department can only fund 18 hours a week from their revolving fund. And so this position not only provides 16.25 hours per week of direct service to children, when you consider planning, when you consider the fact that they're at every event that we do, and you consider the fact that they're in the office providing customer service, we just really felt like we don't want to lose this position. That
You
was
can
that.
continue your thought.
Okay, and also, this program went away in 2010 or 11. It took us 15 years to get it back. And I really am afraid that if we don't have this program, if it goes away, it's going to be really hard to get back. So, shall I just leave you with my comments then? Okay.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And there's Molly Mayor. Molly Mayor.
Molly Merritt.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. Molly Merritt. I live in Precinct 7. Yeah, I kind of just want to echo what the previous speaker said, although I'm not quite as directly involved as they are. And I really appreciate all the details that they laid out. I'm a Greenfield resident, I'm a parent. I really want us to fund the middle school rec position for all the reasons that the previous speaker just mentioned. I've been coming to these meetings for the last couple of weeks and just have heard from so many parents saying the same thing, that this is really important for our city. And um, it's my understanding that Greenfield has some money from unrestricted general government aid from the state. So although I think it would be most prudent to have that position funded out of the city budget and just plan for it every year, I really hope that we can fund that position one way or another this year, and we don't have to lose that. So just here to make that comment and to thank Ways and Means and to thank the council and everybody for all your hard work during budget season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else online or in person who's here for public comment? You can come up.
Pamela did one is on.
Okay, Pamela, we'll do you right after this person. Thank you. Yes.
Dan Paiseki, 133 Franklin Street. I as well am a commissioner on the rec commission. And I'm gonna pick up where Donna left off. On page 155 of your budget book, there's a list of recent accomplishments, which sums up the work of the rec department. On a yearly basis, I have pasted it here and hope you will ask yourselves, how do you do all that with 4 staff, and how will you manage to do that with 3? We've delivered over 400 hours of programming, including 65 programs and 10 special events, attracting 20,000 attendees and enrolling 1,200 youth. Managed 12 public parks and operated the Green River swimming area, hosting 10,278 seasonal visitors and coordinating 50 pavilion and field rentals. Produced legacy community events, including the Winter Carnival, the Independence Fire Day celebration, Mudson Mayhem, and the 42nd annual triathlon. Raised $32,000 in community sponsorship to support municipal recreational programs and maximize investment fund. I know this is a difficult budget year, and I understand the difficult choices the mayor has had to make. But I feel it is my obligation as a member of the Recreation Commission to stand before you and ask if there is a way to keep this program, if we can fund this staff, even at 80% and continue services uninterrupted for the upcoming year. We will have some time to plan for next year by finding grant income and fundraising. We can potentially charge the structure of a change the structure of a revolving fund to allow full-time employees. And the switch to GIC for health insurance could bring savings and budget relief for all departments. The Recreation Department and Commission will do whatever we can to keep this program going, and at this point, City Council is our last option. I've been looking at statutes during the process, and I know that the council is fairly limited in what they can do. It seems our last hope would be Chapter 44, Section 33.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pamela Goodwin?
Oh, she said she's just listening.
Oh, just listening. Okay. Anybody else in person or online who's here for public comment? Okay. We are gonna move on. We have no public hearings tonight. So we are going to move straight to the budget. I have agreed to let our clerk go first. So she will present first. And it's what page you are. Oh, 177.
So I don't really have a presentation.
Yeah, no, just
There
no
are-
one's expected to have a presentation.
So there are 4 budgets that I oversee, the clerk's office, the council office, the registrar's office, and the election office. Thankfully, my staff remain. The rest of the lines in the budget have been reduced, but it was expected. And we're going to again, use the funds wisely and sparingly and hope that we make it through this fiscal year budget. And that's just, we're gonna hope and work to stay within the lines, and if we can't stay within the lines, I'm gonna knock on the mayor's door.
Sorry, anything else that you, okay.
No.
Is there areas that you are most concerned about in these budgets that you think you might go over?
So for the council budget, the public hearing line for the legal ads that are required, it really all depends on what the council does. For ordinances, we have to have public hearings. For appropriations, we have to have public hearings. For example, this last month's council public hearing cost almost $800. This month's council public hearing is about 650. So we all know everything is going up. That includes ads in the newspaper. And these are required not only by our charter, but also Mass General Law. So that is one line that I know will be open,
Okay,
but it's the bottom line, sorry. It's the bottom line of the department budget that in the end is what matters. So we might have a little leeway making up for it in other lines.
I was just gonna ask if there are ways that council can organize public hearings to make it cheaper.
So we try to group them
Okay.
so that we don't just have public hearings on one item. But the more items you have, for example, last month with all the capital,
The longer it is.
the longer it is, the more expensive it is.
Okay.
But if we can get, if there are public hearings for newer amendments for ordinances, if we can have the public hearing for 4 of them rather than 1 of them, it will delay the committee's work, but it will save a little bit of money. Appropriations and financial items come when the city needs it. So that is less of a control, being able to publish it. But again, we usually get a couple at a time, so,
Is there any way that the recorder would
give you a break, give us a break.
Um,
But since it is sort of like a,
right,
you
but
know,
you have to
necessary.
remember, this is not a locally owned company, and
That's right, yeah.
I
So
can,
how they stay afloat. is-
Right. um,
No,
I would always be willing to ask the question, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear, we're just not able to do that because of expenses. They still have to pay all their staff and paper and ink and, so we can ask. It's,
Yeah.
the worst we're gonna hear is no.
Any other questions for Kathy or questions on the clerk council registrar or election budget? Okay, so it's a lean budget, so thank you.
It's lean everywhere. Yeah. Like,
Mayor, I am gonna ask you for everyone, I think if basically for this one, there's nothing specific that was cut, but where would you put back if the unrestricted government aid or other funding comes through? Is this one that you have a like highlight where you're like, I would put back X?
No.
Okay.
How about stairs for toner?
Yeah.
Or if somebody's over, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now go in order. So we have accounting. Welcome. Finance and accounting, 61.
Okay, so this is a fairly straightforward budget. Of the total of 506,000. 300,000 plus is salaries. Includes payroll, accounts payable. We did consolidate our accounts payable person. And from half-time to a 35-hour week, who's taking over licensing as well. So that's what you'll see in the licensing section when you get there. That has dropped down to $12,000 a year. And the big increase is in the expenses. 166,000 for software assessments. That's our Munis program, which is our entire billing, accounting, assessment, sends out the bills for property taxes. That is the nuts and bolts system that has gone up a little bit, and we're also adding a module for HR in order for them to be able to hire online, onboard online, and get that into the 21st century non-paper process. So that accounts for that roughly $50,000 increase in there. So again, very straightforward. Software, salaries, and the rest is some small items, dues, memberships, meetings, seminars, things like that.
Great. Any questions from the committee? Okay. This one was pretty clear. The only big increase we had was that the expenses, which you explained. Did you have one, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We will go to the assessor. That's 50 something.
58.
58.
58.
Welcome. All right. Anything you want to share with us?
Let's see, basically, I'm here answering questions that you have. Our main increases are that this is a certification year, so we had to hire an outside contractor to get that finished. That's the bulk of the increase. All of the other increases are basically tools that I need to do the job that generate money in the city. So each tool that we have continues to basically pay it for itself. But we do need those tools in order to do the job that we need to do.
Great. Okay, let's see. Any questions for the assessor? Anything else you?
I don't know whether now is the time for it. We do need another vehicle. I don't know if that's part of the thing as well. It was brought to my attention. We're using our own individual cars right now, and that's kind of a problem, insurance and
Mhm.
all of those things. So we would plead for that as well, so that we can do that more quickly.
Okay,
But other than that, we're out there chugging along and doing our thing.
great. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thank you. Supposed to share a car with somebody?
Yeah, wasn't there,
Is there a capital?
it was under capital
And they were gonna share.
and
with
someone was
another-
gonna share. Who's sharing the car under capital?
So, you know, we got some of the capital request so far. Who's sharing capital, that's gonna come forward.
Sharing.
Sharing. Wasn't there a car in
Car.
capital budget that was being shared between departments?
Yes. Sharing was, I think assessor said, that, yeah, parking.
Oh, it was
For the
parking.
parking spot.
You know, like a half day to parking, and then we are looking at electric vehicles. Yeah.
So it would be half, like, you would get it half the day and then,
Yeah, and
okay,
that'll work just fine.
okay,
Perfect.
Parking, it's the other half of it.
yeah. Because some of the parking spots are drivable, are like drive-to spots and like the lots, and others are not. And do you all I know we're like, this is capital, but do you all currently have a car?
No, we don't.
Okay.
So our car completely broke down and isn't drivable, which is very sad.
So this half-time car will be around.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
And how long has it been that you haven't had one?
A couple of months. So during the winter, it wasn't too bad because we weren't out there doing our thing. But now that it's summer, we really kind of do need that. And we're paying for it one way or the other because we're paying for mileage for the assistant professor. We're doing, for insurance reasons alone, we really, for liability and all of those things, we really do need to find another solution. But because it's costing us either way.
great.
So,
I'm gonna email you a couple questions.
okay,
On like mileage, permit and things like that, so we can.
okay,
Do some math.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Now we will go to building inspector. Who I think I saw online.
What page is that?
No, I don't think it's planning. It should be the Department of Inspections and Enforcement, maybe?
Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, great. I lost my video. But I guess if you can hear me, that's the most important thing.
Yes, we hear you well.
Okay, my name's Mark Snow, Building Commissioner for the City of Greenfield's Inspection Department. I do have 3 budgets that fall under the Inspections Department that I oversee. The first one is the inspections budget itself. Like the other budgets that's being presented tonight, it's pretty straightforward. There are slight increases in a couple line items, but again, those are very slight, and those are to cover the additional expenses due to increases. The second budget is the weights and measures. Weights and measures, the city of Greenfield has a contract with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts where the state inspectors come in and they do all the inspections. and then they send invoices to us. That is a contractual agreement between the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Greenfield. The third budget is the FERCog inspection program. The City of Greenfield's contracts with the county for electrical, plumbing, and gas inspections. The county inspectors are the ones that perform those inspections. The inspections department is responsible for all data entry and process and permits and things of that nature. Again, that budget is a contractual agreement between the City of Greenfield and the county.
Great. Any questions for the department head?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my back's to you, I'm sorry. The weights and measures, what is that? What does that involve?
Weights and measures, those are all the measuring devices that are in grocery stores, the gas pumps, any device that is used or scale to weigh product for sale.
Okay,
is-
I didn't realize there was an inspection process for that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like to make sure that the consumer is getting the amount.
Correct,
that's being
yes.
dispensed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Great. Thank you so much for attending. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Too many papers here. Central maintenance. We did talk to him once, so I don't
97.
know if we are gonna. Well, he's rolled up every once in a while. We got a quick view. What number of pages is that?
97.
97. I don't think we have him here, but that's okay. We have I think he has a decrease across the board. Yeah. If you have, yes, gladly.
He's not here tonight, but let me tell you, he's one of our most economical people, and he's actually taken on more things from other departments. The upkeep of other, doing like grounds, et cetera. And it still comes under and was calling me at the last minute to say, and this is gonna be a little bit under. I just wanted to say what a good job they all do over there, helping each other. They help with all kinds of events that happen throughout the city. They're helping, recreation when they were putting up the lights at the Jingle Fest, et cetera, et cetera. They're right out there doing the things and do a fabulous job and took on more and come out with less. And last year at the end, when I was struggling at the very end of last year, because it gets to be the very end and you have a shortage of, $50,000, he offered to make another cut to his. So, but they do a fabulous job of what they do. Electricians, they have a couple of electricians, a plumber, and 5 custodians that take care of all of the buildings, and then every problem that happens, including something like we just had happening at Poet Seat.
I was wondering, I know there's been a transfer of building maintenance from other departments to central maintenance. I was wondering if you could give an overview of, do the department heads send that budget line item to central maintenance, or does central maintenance make up the numbers that they need?
No, what actually happens is we talk about it, and I will say, like, and actually I think probably it was Pugs's idea. It should be one person that's ordering all of the things for the city buildings. It just makes sense and it's more economical. He had offered to do that, and I said, okay, let's do these with this couple of things. And, so they talked, the 2 department heads talked, and, he gave me a number and an estimate after that.
And then the last question I had, when we looked at the police budget, they had 6,000 for building maintenance, and then in the central maintenance, they have 2,000 for police maintenance materials and 3,000 for cleaning supplies. I'm wondering, do they need all of that all together? And then can we also transfer that building materials maintenance to central maintenance so it's more uniform?
So I'm not going to speak to that one, but I will answer you that later because I don't want to misspeak.
Totally.
There were some things that we did not transfer from one line to the other. And the only thing that's coming to mind right now is a very special detergent that was used for cleaning turnout gear for fire. So there are some things that you might think, detergent or, I don't know, toilet cleaners, et cetera, is the same, but there are some things that would just pertain to one person's budget that you might not know about, or that might not be included in that. So I will look into that further, Council Webb.
That's good.
I have a question. On, under the contracted services, this equipment rental is 23,800. What equipment is being rented? Because very often in our discussions, there was an issue around renting costing more than actual purchasing over time.
Well, just for example, right now we're renting the generator till the generator that we get. So the new generator we get comes. So sometimes you don't actually know what that's going to be that you might be renting. But again, he did like a fabulous job of getting the price down of whatever it was that he was going to be renting. But we didn't expect it to not have the generator. Pug was checking that generator every single month, which is how we knew that it was not functioning properly. And then we needed to rent one, and we found that wasn't working properly. And I think when we had the sewer back up here, we do own a lot of our own equipment in plumbing and electric, all of which I couldn't even describe truthfully, but there are certain things that you might not have. When we had to move the safe, when we had to move that 2,000-pound safe, I thought we were going to be looking at some kind of a special tool that, would saw safes in half. Because it's something that's unexpected. So that would be what we were renting. Did I answer your questions?
No, not really.
Okay.
Sorry. Maybe I wasn't clear, but so the $23,850 represents the rental of what? What is, do you know what that is, or is that over a number of things?
No, that would be over a number of things.
Okay.
So and I usually go through most of the line items to see if they've been using that, but so did he. So if he has a line item in his budget, I go through to see where they are in that budget to see if it can stay the same or if we've used all of it. So I do not know what that was for, but I am sure that it was for different things that the city did not own, that stopped functioning, or that we needed for a special malfunction or a special project.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I think when we heard from DPW explained that, like they'll obviously, whatever vehicles or whatever central maintenance uses, but there is times where they have things that can't do what needs to be done. And so they do have to, like, I'm remembering that he shared something about they don't have a machine that can get like on the other side of the Green River.
Mhm.
Do you remember what, Chrissy?
I could just use an example, like they've had to rent like scissor lifts.
Yeah.
Or changing like lights in the auditoriums, like that kind of equipment that we just don't have because we don't use it very often.
Right.
Okay, so it makes more sense to rent it as opposed to purchase. I
And
think.
like DPW will rent the stuff that's for like the grounds and exterior, but then central maintenance, if it's like anything like building, city building infrastructure, then it would fall under central maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
In addition, we borrow as well from other towns when we can. For the, whatever you call it, that pushes the road down, what
The
is that?
smusher.
The smusher, yeah.
The smusher.
We have one of those. and- Yeah. and,
So confident, me too.
Yeah, okay, it's not my best thing, but it's okay.
I'm laughing at her.
Yeah. Spot on.
Chair of Ways and Means, you
We
know?
borrowed that from another municipality.
Yeah.
And that at times, another municipality would borrow from us. Right now, unless it's replaced, we're borrowing an ambulance because both of our ambulances were out of something. So we loan and borrow.
Great.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you. We are gonna go to page 57, Community and Economic Development. I used to know them all because I had a kid who was obsessed with equipment.
I've never.
Telescoping low. My 3-year-old said telescoping low. Okay, we're on page 57.
Not a thing that appears in my budget.
Anything you would like to share with us?
I think my budget is pretty straightforward. The one thing I would highlight is we were very grateful that we didn't lose a staff person in this year's budget. And I think that was in part due to the fact that we were able to secure a federal grant, which is covering a portion of my salary. So if you look at our department budget, over 51% of our salary line item is grant funded and not a burden on the city. And I think my department does a good job at nosing out wherever we can grant funds that would pay for our staff salaries. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any questions for economic? Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Secret.
Thank you. Council on Aging? Online.
Hello.
Hi,
How's
how are
my-
you?
Good. How's my audio?
You're great.
Good. Thank you. So hi, my name is Hope McCary. I'm the director of the Greenfield Senior Center. This is my 20th Ways and Means budget meeting. And I have to say each year is no less nerve-wracking than the previous one, because you all are deliberating the city budget and it's not easy work. So I want to thank you, the members of the Ways and Means Committee, for your service to the city of Greenfield, because I know how many hours you're putting in and all the energy. I also want to thank my colleagues, my other department heads. We all work together and I'm really grateful for that. There's a lot of teamwork and camaraderie. And so it's tough because it's like we're slicing up the pieces of the pie, right? But we all work together really well. And lastly, but most importantly, I want to thank the mayor and her team, because they are leading us through a really difficult time and they're super supportive. I think this is the hardest budget year that I've seen in my time. So we have a 12.5% reduction. That is significant. We'll figure out a way to do it because we always do. That's where our job is, to fulfill the mission. But I need to be clear with you, like super clear, that any further reductions is really going to impact our ability to maintain core services. We're down to the bare minimum. And I think, you know, we all have the shared goal of taking care of our seniors. Greenfield, I say this every year, Greenfield has to be a place that is a good place to grow up and grow old, both. We need both. And so I'm going to ask you to bear that in mind when you're making the final decisions for the budget. You have the budget in front of you. According to, you know, estimating math, there's more than 5,000 seniors in Greenfield. The city budget is paying $39 per senior for a year's worth of free fitness classes, free meals, recreational, cultural, social service support, the senior tax work-off program, which our department administers, supplies 25 workers that are spread across all of the city departments. So we're proud of our place in the Human Services Department, And I welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Council on Aging?
I have a question. What are you losing with that 12% decrease?
So that's a great question. Thank you. So our current staff is 2 full-time employees and a 30-hour a week fiscal office manager who manages all of the budgetary things that you're dealing with right now. The only place that we could reduce with that kind of cut was out of personnel, because you can see our ordinary maintenance there's not much to take there. And so, and the mayor and I consulted on this, and we went, we talked a lot, like it's not an easy cut. We focused on the customer facing positions as being the priority. So my position, I'm heavily dealing with the public all day, providing social services and managing the operations, and the activities director who makes everything happen. And so we made the very difficult decision to look at the administrative side of things and reduce the fiscal office manager's hours to 18 from 30. That's significant. So the new activities director and myself will take on the duties that the difference between the 18 hours and the 30 hours.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Council on Aging? Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Energy, I think on the line.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you. Do you want me to just go?
Yeah, we're on page 100. If anyone's following along, you can go for it.
Sure. So I guess I'll introduce myself as well, because I don't believe I've met all of you, but I'm Carol Collins. I'm the Energy and Sustainability Director for the city. And I am just want to explain this budget's a little different than some of the other departments. The main bulk of our budget is paying all the energy bills. So those are fixed costs that cannot be changed. So given that there are constraints, the only place to make any cuts was staffing. So I will be going to 3/4 time for FY27. I have a 0.6 assistant who's fabulous. So we are super bare bones, and there aren't enough hours in the day because, as you may know, every single thing needs to be dealt with. But that's how we're going to proceed. And I think it's going to be tough. We pay all the bills and track all the energy and report on it and make recommendations and pull projects together, but we don't have any control over operating the buildings, and that's where we've seen increases. So right now, the large bulk of my work is just trying to get that back into where we've been historically. So just an FYI, for FY26, we're already at our budget, and so we'll go over as we pay the remainder of May's and June's bills. There are many plans in place to do what's called retro commissioning, which means going through each building and figuring out what's going on and how we can get back to where we were. But it's incredibly time intensive, and that's the reason I have consulting services. And I did my best for FY27. We have I know our energy costs on the supply side, but another issue that I'll just raise that I know has been on everyone's minds is how crazy the electric bills are going up, mainly, and that is completely out of our control. That's the other half of the bill, the delivery. And also just Eversource in particular has become much more opaque in their billing. So it's just incredibly time consuming to figure out what's going on, why there are increases, how to address, and we're actually working with other communities right now to seek further action from the state because it's been going on for way too long. And it's a shame that we have to spend all our time on this when there's so many great projects that should be getting implemented. So I continue to do whatever I can and help other departments reach goals. And I'm super psyched that everyone's on board with the EVs now because it's like such a good time and it's just working out really well. And yeah, I guess I'm in a dark place, literally and figuratively, because I have terrible lighting. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions for Leonard? Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
GSET.
I can't see.
Just 177. Is there another
176.
177? Yeah.
Yeah, although you do have to, the numbers in the book aren't correct. So we do have to, I have updated sheets to pass around, but I think some extra ones here. The values of it is very simple.
And the number in the number in our agenda is wrong too, just for following.
For the enterprise fund.
Yeah.
So for GSET this year, the total number is 2,382,970. That's essentially flat with last year, which was 2,390,000 was the order for fiscal year 26. I think costs that have gone up for us are pretty much the same as for everyone. Health costs have gone up quite a bit. We also had a rent increase, but we've offset that mostly by mainly two things. First of all, the debt service for us has dropped. It'll drop every year by about $12,000 or $13,000 alternating for the next few years, which is always helpful. We're past the point where we're paying the elevated debt payment. That helps. And we had our operations manager moved on this year. She was a wonderful person and employee, but we really try hard not to just replace people, to replace people. And we worked to really identify what the main functions are. We follow something called the RACI matrix, which is how you identify jobs that people do. And we ended up determining that it would be best for us to promote some people from within and pay them a bit more, and to contract out for financial services. And between that and continuing a trend that we've had for years now, which is really working hard as a tech company to take advantage of all the things you can do, we're implementing things like document intelligence, which will obviate the need to have any kind of a filing person, because we automatically extract all the data we need for all of our invoices and everything. They're properly filed in the correct place. And we do use AI in certain applications, primarily to help us write code, to write a first draft of code. And we're teaching our team to be validators, which means the financial clerk we have doesn't have to do all that filing herself. She can look through and make sure everything's correct, and then still have time to do some more advanced financial modeling and analysis. So we try really hard to be efficient. With one less person, we pay less for pension, we pay less for indirects. So we were able to keep our budget pretty much the same. We're projecting that we'll be in the black this year and next year as well.
Only other area where we've really had any kind of an increase is we do want to spend a little bit more in advertising and marketing. We've been very, very bare bones for that. And I think as we finish with the GHA and some other big projects that we're working on, we'd like to be able to do more of that. You look in the budget and network operations is the largest line we have that isn't sort of broken out like other lines at $792,531. I just want you to just quickly say 75% of that is the payments we pay for TV content to our TV providers, and what we pay. Internet isn't free. We buy from tier 1 internet providers, and those two make up 75% of that number. And the rest is things like we have virtual servers with AWS. We have software subscriptions for software to help us manage the network. So just to give a little insight into where that money is spent there. So we grew sales. It's going to be somewhere in between 3% and 4% this year. We're budgeted for a 4% increase for next year. And with where we're at in terms of what we project for expenses, again, we expected we will be in the black again. And we're really just focused on continuing to build out as fast as we can. We all wish it was faster, but that's what we're working towards. And other than those changes, really everything else in the budget has stayed the same or has seen a slight increase due to just inflation. So.
Great. Any questions for GSET?
Can you explain how much the city helps out in your budget versus like the percentage that your revolving fund or your enterprise fund covers it?
The enterprise fund pays for everything. Everything. Yeah.
So nothing from the operating budget.
There's no indirect funds.
Well, we work with the city on indirects, but that appropriation for that in the last couple of years, there's been, for example, instead of appropriating for $2,382,000, there would be two appropriations. One would be for operating and the other one would be for the indirects, and that gets appropriated to the general fund. But all of those appropriations come out of the revenues from GSET. So I don't know, I'm assuming I may be wrong, but in the last couple of years, the indirects that we work with the city on what that number is going to be, and they give us a number and says, this is how much it is. And then when you appropriate, you generally appropriate that portion separately, and then you appropriate the balance. So it would be 184,166 to indirects and 2,198,804 is the balance. But we pay for everything.
Did you have any capital requests this year?
Yes. And we will again next year.
And in terms of getting capital requests, does the city have to fund any of your capital requests, or do you pay for that through your enterprise funds?
When we go for capital, under the law, we have to use the city's borrowing capability, but we pay back every bit of any capital that we get. Like when I said we were down about 13,000 this year on the debt, that is payments on the original $5 million worth of debt, plus a couple of capital requests that we did get a few years ago. So it goes to the council because you control that and you have to okay it if it gets to you. And but when it comes to paying for it, everything, whether it's capital or operating expenses, everything is paid out of the revenues of the GSET.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. And this was corrected in Munis.
Yes.
Just for, like the numbers correct in units, it just wasn't in the book or our agenda. Great. Any other questions for GSET? Okay. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Have a good night.
Appreciate you coming. Health Department. I think I saw him online.
Good night, folks.
Good night. Oh yeah. Anyone who went don't feel like you have to stay. Everyone's leaving. Great. Except for you are never off the hook. You're here forever. Yeah. Oh,
38.
Welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So my budget is pretty much the same as everyone else's. Not really any big changes. There is one change. I did add a part-time public health inspector position. In that line item, you'll see that it's half of it is going to be paid through a grant. We've been working with the Massachusetts Health Officers Association. They sent us kind of like an intern for a while. She was going to school at public health school at UMass. She's been working with us and they pay for most of her licenses. So she's got most of her licenses through this program. They paid for everything. And then at the end of the program, they try to get them a job in a community. So we partnered with them to try to get this person into Greenfield. So for the first year of her salary, they will pay half the salary, and then Greenfield pays the other half. So I desperately need more help in the inspectional part, especially with some of the things coming down the line, rental registry, and some other possible ordinances that are going to fall under us. So this was a good way to get somebody in without having to pay the entire salary. So I'm happy that they were able to partner with us to pay for half of that salary. Otherwise, the other salaries are just the normal increases for cost of living. We did play around with some of my line items. We cut down in legal expenses. I believe it cut around $8,000 out of that. I got rid of pagers and telephone money, and we cut our office supplies in about half as well. So in the end, we only went up about $10,000 from last year, which isn't bad for actually having the other position in there. So I am happy with how that worked out. If you have any questions on that.
I have a question just about, I can look above here, but that's the 18-hour health inspector that you're
Yes.
talking about with the grant?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. So
Okay.
the part-time 18-hour inspector will be the one that will be paid halfway through this agreement with the Mass Health Officers Association.
That's just for this year.
It is just for this year. Obviously in future budgets, I would like to, fully fund that position. But that conversation will come down the road later. But there obviously will be more work coming, so I would like to keep that position in my budget and future budgets.
Is there stipulations in the grant at all about length of time that we're like contracted to keep this person on?
It would just be for the year.
Okay.
And if we let them go earlier and we use some of their money to pay the salary, we would have to pay it back. That's
Okay.
the only stipulation.
Right. But for this year, it's a great deal for us.
Totally. Yeah, for this year, it works out good. And like I said, it'll be very helpful for my department, especially on the lean budget, to at least get this person in without having to do the whole salary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Any other questions for health department?
What is purchase of service?
So purchases of service went up. I'll explain that. So part of my job is also being the animal inspector. The animal inspector does rabies control. So for rabies control, we take in suspected rabid animals and we have to send them off to Boston for testing. This involves euthanizing the animals through a local veterinarian department and then also the shipping costs. So with the ACO going to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, there became some expenses that we have to pick up with the rabies control part. So I have to pay a little extra to mail them out and have them euthanized. So we did have to go up a little bit in that, in the purchase of service part, because that's what I'll have to use for that, for those expenses. I was able to cut money in other areas to kind of make up for it, but it was kind of an unforeseen part. But we experienced some issues with having to get animals sent out for rabies testing, so we had to go up in that line item to make sure that we can do that.
What were the pagers and telephones used for that you can now cut it fully?
From the time I was here, I'm not quite sure. It was something that we never really pulled anything out of, so it just made sense to just get rid of it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Health Department? Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time too. Have a good night.
You too. Human Resources.
I said I'd do that.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay,
So, I just, page 70, 69, 70. So this is a department of 4. And then, most of the line items were the same other than contractual. And, this year, they will have, I couldn't make any reductions in force to this budget. This year, they are moving everybody over to the GIC, which will be like an act of Congress. They usually do the open enrollment, so they get everybody signed up. And now, and they're beginning that for January 1. In addition to that, they have to move over every retiree. Some of whom will not as familiar with computer, so it will be all hands on deck to get that job done. So that I left that as is, and there was hardly any change to any of their expenses.
What is 26.1 accrual?
So we're actually, Stephen can explain that better, but these 26.1 pay periods, because it doesn't divide.
Gotcha.
Okay. Diane is very exact, and she actually taught me when I came here how to enter it in unison. Put that little part in. I hope I did that myself when I was doing it. She does a good job.
Any questions on HR? Great. Thank you, Mayor. We have IT. It's 70 something, right?
72. Yeah.
State.
Right after you chart. I don't have a presentation either. My name is Fernando Fleury, I'm the IT director. I'm sure you guys looked at all the accomplishments we had this year. We did lose a position. Jonathan asked me, hey, can you give me 2 or 3 accomplishments that you had for the year? And I had 25, narrowed it down to 15, and then he kind of just put them together. So I have a very busy team trying to keep up with not just the operations of IT. We're very unique. Not every city does what we do. We also have, we support our dispatch. It's not regionalized. And we have equipment on remote sites, a lot of water wells or pumps, radio equipment up in the mountains that we also support. And we do a lot of projects for the city.
Great. The only question I had was the expenses went up significantly. Was there like a big?
The expenses, so yes. So every year, what we try to do is we're trying to have this global IT vision. We talk with the mayor, hey, what's the total IT cost? And We don't have every year. We absorb some from different departments. This year, we absorbed around $40,000 from other departments. And then the other parts that you see here, for example, it's $25,000 for our data center support maintenance licensing. When we built the new data center, that was good for 3 years. And we're going on year 4, so that's going to kick in. The one for the PD is going to kick in next year, so you didn't see those. And then there were another additional $12,000 in there that we set aside in order to have our website redone and all the tools that we need in order to meet ADA compliance. So right there on its own, that's around, probably $80,000 that you wouldn't normally see.
Okay, great. Any other questions for IT?
I just wanted to say it's incredible what you do with 3 people. I know it's a horrible budget year, but it really would be wonderful at some point if that could be expanded, because the complexities with future technology.
Yeah.
It's so continuously evolving and so important in everything we do.
And that's the other part too, that you see the expenses going up. For example, like hardware, that's the only part that I put it. It's always like a guess, right? What my hardware line is going to be like. And I know that right now, like RAM has gone up like 300% in the last 6 months. So I always worry about that. But like I've done in the past, if I'm running into trouble with something like that, I'll come to you guys and ask. So usually it used to be that those rates will go up, or inflation will go up by 3 to 7%. Now I'm seeing 7 to 14% increases. So it's an educated guess a lot of the time with some of those things. And thank you for your statement. I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have a really good team of department heads that support us and are very patient. Looking at you, Christy, if everybody waits their turn most of the time. But things happen, and we expect for everyone. But if it wasn't for the department's heads, and we communicate with them, hey, listen, we have this going on, but this department needs to have this done first, or emergencies happen when the generator went down at police department, we had to step up, and now we bought a little small generator, which is going to help us for later on. So those things happen right there. We're also very excited. I'm very excited about the other projects that we have going on. And we're working in conjunction with the building department it's going to be something that's going to help a lot of our citizens with online permitting. It's not all doom and gloom. Some of the things that we do, I'm in IT because I like technology, so I'm lucky to be doing this for a city, which is a lot different than working at your typical corporate America. It's not, we just don't do printers and copiers and telephones and things like that. We deal with other things that are really pretty cool.
Do you see any obstacles with 40 hours less a week of help?
We're going to do it. When I talk to the mayor, I said, hey, you have to have my back, and we just need to be patient,
just be what it's speed.
It's kind of like what IT is in a lot of places, so. But my team is, like you see, some of the projects that we do here. I put that against any other city. When I looked at other cities, what they do is like, oh, that's like a baby project for us, So, and there's also times when we helped and stepped up to help. We're very technical, even though we're a small team, different than the school. School has 1,000 endpoints, so they need those hands fixing computers. And I managed a K-12 before, and those 13-year-olds are pretty tough on equipment. Oh my God, yeah, they're the ones that stress me. I'm more used to. So you need that number to maintain that. We have a lot of systems. Every department has its own unique database. So the way I see ourselves within IT department, it's almost like an MSP. We have like every department is like its own company. The way that dispatch, police, fire, building works, it's different. Library, you know, they're different, their hours are different, you know, so, that's how I look at it.
Great. Thank you so much.
I have a question. now.
Oh, sorry.
So one of the things I've noticed is committee person, very often we've had to cancel meetings because we had a technological problem. And so I'm willing to hear that perhaps we all need some training
So-
in the proper use of the equipment, or there might be another reason why there's poltergeist in the wires.
No, yeah, no, the ghost in the shell, right? No, we actually had a really nice meeting with, a couple meetings with GCTV. They also had a lot of transition, and so we got together and talked about the different issues. I'm trying to keep that equipment going for another year. Like you guys are all familiar, almost every gooseneck on those microphones, it's broken. That's at least, or it used to be $120 per gooseneck, right? So do that times 15. That's just the microphone. We've had a meeting about, you know, what they should be doing for troubleshooting. If you start touching a lot of things, it's really very hard for me to troubleshoot when something like that happens. Excuse me. So the last couple meetings, knock on wood,
Yeah, we've been okay.
I've been going okay, and we have I'm going to be putting together an MOU from now on like on Wednesdays for the big meetings. GCTV is going to be there like around 3. That way, if they run into any issues, our working hours are from 8 to 5. You know, and every time you see me at the council meetings, it's a labor of love. You know, so we're working on those things. So I think that things are going to get better, but I do need begin upgrading that. It's just
So this kind of system is the things that we've been having trouble with here.
this one right here.
Sometimes here at the fire station,
Yeah,
sometimes.
the fire station, we're working on getting it. Something like this here where it's like a tapping. It's one, you touch it once and everything comes on for the most part.
Mhm.
A couple of times we come here and somebody's unplugged the equipment. So it's, you know, and that's not much I can do about that. I started looking for another port to connect to. I'm pulling those plugs. I was thinking to myself, you know, because, you know, it's happened, you know, it's happened. So, you know, with technology, it's not always going to be perfect. There's always like glitch or something like that. So, for the most part, this room has been pretty well, mostly been training, and we trained the new people, I think, to the level that they need to know the equipment. I feel good about this one and about the fire station. Just need to buy a different controller for to make it easier for you guys, right?
Yeah, the big issue there is that you can't be in 2 places at once. So you can't sit and share the meeting and watch.
We're getting a controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we were just talking about that today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we actually thought we were going to be able to get away without a wireless controller like that. And,
Yeah.
But I don't think that they were expecting to use that room for as many meetings. So now that we have it and you're not familiar with it, it'll be easier if we get something into that. So we are identifying what you need.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have library. I think that was 149. One also was relatively flat.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anna Lamiolo. I think I've met many of you before, Director of the Greenfield Public Library. Just want to say that I agree with Hope about collaboration amongst the departments. It's a good city to work for. And I am greatly appreciative of the senior tax work-off. We have someone in the library and they're fantastic. I also want to mention the downtown substation, how important that is for us at the library. We see between 550 and 600 people a day. Every person who walks through that door of all different ages brings with them their own life story. And sometimes that life story is not in a good place, and it makes
it hard for everyone, particularly staff, because we're jumping around trying to do library work and then people management and things like that. So having the substation folks has really been fantastic. They've been always very readily available when we need them, and they're really great at building relationships with folks. And I'm very appreciative for that. We have meeting rooms and study rooms. They are crazy busy all the time. If anyone has ever tried to get one of them, it is a challenge. The good thing, though, is that we have a fee-based structure for the 2 large meeting rooms. And you can see that that's on our website. So depending on if you're a 501c3 or if you're a for-profit business, there is a fee structure. It's not very high. All libraries across Massachusetts do that with their meeting rooms. But the nice thing is that it is generating an income, a very small income for us, which will then go back into the library. So that's been a really positive initiative since January. The trustees had to approve that and voted that in. I'm very grateful that we are not losing any staff this year, and we all are very grateful for that, but we are losing some money from our books and processing, which I'll get into that in a second, but I much prefer losing money for that than staff. I'm sure you can imagine with the volume of people that we have, losing staff would be really hard also because we have people who get sick, vacation time, doctor appointments, family emergencies. So we're not always a full staff, and that can be challenging sometimes because also when we're not serving the public on the desk, we're all doing our work behind the scenes. We all wear many, many hats. We all do public desk time. I think I do 8 to 10 hours a week myself. And then we scuttle back into our offices and try to do lots of other work that we have to get done. I did approve for the, I want to say it's CDBG, Community Development Block Grant. Thank you. I couldn't remember what the B stood for. And I applied for a part-time social worker, and that has been approved phase 1. My plan is to have then I am contacted every couple of months by schools of social work who are trying to place social work students in libraries. It's a very growing demand for social workers in libraries across the country. And they want me to have a practicum, except that they expect me to find the mentor, and it has to be a full-time active social worker. And I have not been successful with our social service agencies in town. They have their own practicums, they're tapped out. So if this does go through, we are in the phase where the state is now reviewing that application or all the application process requests. I've passed phase 1, I'm now waiting for phase 2. If that does get accepted and goes through, then my plan is for a part-time social worker who is mentoring a social work student, thereby having perhaps a full-time social work kind of staffing happening in the library. It's a grant, but this is a great way to pilot and see how it might work. Is this what we need? Is it really what we need?
Is it a 1-year grant?
It is a 1-year, 1 year. I think it is a 1-year grant.
It's so short.
Yeah.
There's so much work.
Yep, but it is better than nothing.
Better than nothing. Yeah.
Because then we go back to the drawing board and we see what else
Yeah.
we can do. You know, I would love to partner with other departments and share a social worker. I don't think the library is the only place where we need one. So that is a conversation for down the road, but I am anticipating that this will be something that will be helpful for us in the library. And that's all ages. We have a very vibrant teen room, and teenagers need a lot of help. They are going through a lot. And just to have someone, for us, it's really hard because we become almost personally involved, and we have jobs and we have to kind of try to create barriers and not get involved with folks that we see on a daily basis as much as we can. People like to tell you their stories, and it can be very heavy by the end of the day. And some of those stories are fantastic. So not to say that it's all bad. Some of them are really fantastic, and it's great to be part of that. But sometimes it can be really heavy. So I'll keep you all posted on that. When I build a budget, I have two things that I have to consider. One is my staff, and of course, the increases in staff salaries. This year, we were told to calculate 3%. I'm not sure if they've come to an agreement with the clerical union yet. But this budget is based on a 3% increase for staff based on what we have had over the past 3 years. So I don't know where we are with that, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. The other thing I have to consider are my requirements from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. They have very strict requirements that I need to meet in order to receive state aid. We receive roughly $60,000 to $65,000 a year, but we have to meet requirements. Those requirements include the number of hours we're open, the number of evenings we're open, the number of weekend hours we're open. That is based on our population size, so there is no wiggle room on that. I also have to meet these requirements that our allocation increases by 2.5% every year. That is hard, especially in a budget crisis. What can happen if we don't receive that increase? This year we did, just got by, very close. We can apply for a waiver. A waiver is a hearing with the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, the mayor, myself, to review the city's allocations. And essentially they say, okay, this year we'll cut you some slack. We will give you state aid, but your city really needs to meet that allocation. The important thing to remember is that the 2.5% is cumulative. They will only give us 5 waivers. That's 5 years. But that 2.5% gets added on every year. Even if you got the waiver. Yeah, even if you got the waiver. So it's 2.5 times 5. That's a lot of money to have to come up with after 5 years. If we don't meet that requirement in 5 years, we become decertified. What that means is that we are no longer part of CW Mars. No Greenfield resident can use any other public library in the state. Basically, we have a stagnant collection because we won't have any money to buy anything or to share with other libraries. So it's a grim picture. So we want to have a good budget. This year, the mayor has been very generous with us. We have a cut to our books and processing. I requested 55,000 and we're receiving 48. So that's minus 7,000. We have already found ways in which we're going to make up for that difference. Part of that is removing equipment, fancy equipment that has maintenance contracts, like our really sexy self-checkout machines. Bye-bye, they're going. We're going to replace them with laptops and scanners. We have alternatives, not as pretty, but that's what you do, right? You got to save some money. That's going to save us a couple $1,000s. We are reducing subscriptions to newspapers and magazines. New York Times Online we'll have for this year. We probably won't have it afterwards. We will keep the print New York Times, but that means you have to come into the library. The good news is that the Boston Public Library is available to all of you because any citizen or resident, in Massachusetts has access to the Boston Public Library. They have the Boston Globe online, they have the New York Times online, the Washington Post. So if you get your Boston Public Library e-card, you can get yourself access to all of their resources. Very easy to do. It takes about 5 minutes. So we in Greenfield may be losing access to some of these great electronic resources, but you can get them through the Boston Public Library.
Some things though.
They have a lot more money than we do.
There's like a real difference. I use both CW Mars and Boston and like through the Libby app. And so like sometimes we have more than they have, like in CW Mars.
We do. Well, it's usually based on waiting lists.
Yeah.
Right? So there are
or
more
sometimes
people in
our
Boston.
waiting lists are way better.
Exactly.
Like it's like tells you like 3 years in Boston.
Right.
So also Hoopla, which is one of our streaming platforms, but it also has ebooks and audiobooks. We've kept that because we had ebooks and audiobooks. We're reducing the amount that we allow us to spend. We cap it at a certain amount every month. That's frustrating for some people because it's kind of like a fight to get in there and get it before we hit our monthly allowance. But Boston Public Library removed some levels of Hoopla. And so we do have the audiobooks and the ebooks, whereas they don't anymore. Can't remember which
I
one
haven't
they
gotten
removed.
hooked on that one.
Oh, it's very good. They have lots of TV shows as well, lots of British shows if you're interested in British series. Last year, we removed Canopy, which is a streaming platform. And we did that because it's incredibly expensive, but the Boston Public Library has it. And you can get up to 8 credits a month. So you can still stream through your Boston Public Library e-card. So, we look at all of these things and try to figure out where can we cut. We are part of CW Mars, Central Western Massachusetts Regional System, Library System, which means we share all of our materials with 160 other libraries. So that means we don't have to buy all the DVDs and the books and the audiobooks. Everything travels between all of our libraries. That is a membership fee, and that is worth its money in gold. So we have to keep that. And the mayor kindly has left that in for us. That is a huge positive for all of us. Earlier, you talked about central maintenance. I have handed all of my money over to Pugs. It just makes more sense. I don't know anything about building products, and his team is fantastic, and they make sure that if something breaks, they take care of, they get the parts. We don't have to do these transfers back and forth between, Stephen's like, yeah, it's transfers from our fund to their fund, and then it takes a lot of time, and sometimes mistakes happen. So that is a huge relief, and we work very closely with Pugs, which is fantastic. I'm really thankful for the trustees and the friends and the foundation. They pick up all of the extras. The Friends fundraise throughout the year to supply us with the money so that every program that's at the library is free to the public. It's amazing. It's a huge chunk of change, and we would be lost without that. We would not be offering all the great things that we have. The foundation is fundraising to replace all of our public-facing technology. So that is every 5 years, we have to change out our computers, and they are paying for the fancy photocopy machine that we have. They're fundraising because none of that is covered through city allocation. None of our hotspots, all of those things that are really, really popular are covered through the foundation and our state aid. So we really need that money as well. And the foundation is also covering, we have no budget for staff development, professional development. And if librarians don't keep up with what's happening, we're all in trouble, particularly on the tech side. So the foundation is fundraising to supply the staff with opportunities to take courses, to get certifications, to travel to conferences. And lots of grants. We have lots of grants going on. They're very small and very targeted, but we're really active on the grants. This year, we had a fantastic grant with an organization called Libraries Without Borders. It was $5,000 to work with our middle schoolers, and we had a huge middle school gala. I don't know if any of you have kids who came to that. We had 173 people come who have kids in the middle school, and they were all introduced to the library and all of the things that we have to offer. It was a private Saturday afternoon event. It was fantastic. Their faces were lit up, and
was that the after hours?
That was the after hours.
My kid went to that.
Yeah. So that was a really good event. We're trying to really encourage literacy and getting the kids to the library and reading books, and talking about literacy is really important. And to pick up for the summertime with summer reading coming along. We also have a grant with LifePath right now to create memory kits. So those will support families who have members who are experiencing issues with dementia.
That's a very small grant, but that allows us to purchase the materials to lend out to families. We have grants from Greenfield Garden Club. That's our seed library. They are providing funds so that we can give people seeds to plant gardens. And that has been really successful as well, with lots of programming around that. So lots of things happening. Again, it is kind of a flat budget. Next year, we're going to have to look at this more closely and see, hopefully next year will be a better year. And we will get our state aid without a waiver this year. Thank the good Lord. And, let's hope for better times next year. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, any questions? Yes.
I have a couple. So the first one was you talked about, sorry.
No, I was just going to say one thing. I think there's a mistake in our staff units. The majority of my staff is clerical, not SSEA. We have one SSEA and everyone else is clerical. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but.
A couple of those that I noticed.
Okay.
The reverse.
Okay.
Not
a problem.
See that too. Okay, I didn't see that, so thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. So it's reversed. We have one SSEA, one NR, and everyone else is clerical. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I just didn't want to forget that.
That's okay. How are you tracking the funds you get from the meeting rooms and then also what do library supplies cover?
So the library supplies cover barcodes, printer tape for the holds, any materials that people borrow, lots of other things that are all very library specific technologies, the machine to print. It also covers materials that we need for the programs. So if there's the pitfall with the fundraising from the Friends, anything that we need, whether it's crayons or Legos or, things for the different programs that we have, that will be library supplies. And your other question, sorry.
How are you tracking the
yes.
meeting room funds?
So we have a meeting room application form, and that generates a bill we have to go through it because a lot of times people aren't sure what their status is. So they'll do the math and then we're like, no, that's not the right amount. You've paid too much or you paid too little. And then that generates an invoice. We have it set up so that we can generate an invoice. Everyone gets a receipt, and we have a running spreadsheet that we share with the accounts department, and that money goes into our revolving funds.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay. So it is all tracked. To date, it's a couple $1,000s, which is not bad. And people are really appreciative of that space because we have a lot of, like PV Squared has their annual staffing meeting there. They'll be there the entire day. There's a kitchenette, there are restrooms, they have Zoom, or they have a camera, big space, parking, all that stuff. So it's been very popular for that. And we've also had private events like birthday parties and baby showers.
Yeah,
People
like
are
the
looking
most
for that.
affordable space in Greenfield to probably rent that's big enough.
For the study rooms, we don't charge. Those are our rooms on the second floor. They host 2 people, 4 people, or 6 people. And those are first come, first served, more than 3 times a week, 2 hours at a time. We're trying to make those access equitable. Lots of people like them for private meetings, tutoring, things like that. So they're really, really popular. Those are free. There's no charge for those. All of this is on our website, all of this information as well.
Any other questions? Okay.
A comment though, just a quick comment. So I'm at the library 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
I bring a young man there, and who was very serious about taking out his library books and checking them out himself. So I have to break the news to him slowly.
There will be another system.
Okay.
Not to worry. We're working with the foundation to help us. We need a couple of new devices for this self-checkout, but in the end of the day, it's a whole lot cheaper than right, a couple thousand a year. Also, the children's room has a self-checkout machine that looks like a robot.
Right.
We're not getting rid of that one.
Oh, good. That's
because
cute.
the kids absolutely love it.
Right.
The issue with that one is that, again, very technical. We have barcodes, right, on all of our books. That's how we check things out. But we also have had for a while these RFID tags. Do you know what those are? They're, can't see them, they're in the back, but what it does is if you have a machine that can read RFID, it just scans that book without you having to like put it under the barcode. We're stopping that. It's a lot of money for processing when we purchase the materials.
Yeah.
And so we're stopping that except for children's room materials because that robot reads both barcodes and RFID, but it's saving us a really good amount of money and doing most of the cataloging and processing. Again, very library technical, but that's every item that we have has to have its unique ID number and it has to have a catalog record so that you can search and find. And we have a cataloger on staff, and part of that work, it's very time consuming work and very detail oriented. And until now, we've had part of that done by the book vendor that we purchase our materials from. And we're going to stop that to save money. It's very helpful. It's like staff, you know, you have to find that balance. And she is willing to do more of that work. She'll just do less desk time and more of that back office work to save us a good chunk of change.
What I was getting to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I went off into
Technical, right, I understand. Is that I have been so totally impressed by the level of compassion and patience by folks at that main desk. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That. We are in a strategic plan phase right now, and we just closed our community survey. And all of you were able to take that.
I took it.
Awesome. We have gone over 1,000 respondents. The consultant I'm working with said we wouldn't get over 200.
Wow.
So that's a very vocal community, and I'm very appreciative for that. And we've had some mixed responses with regard to staff friendliness.
Really?
Not a lot. I mean, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And of course, we all have good days and bad days. And when you're in customer service, depends on what time of the day you come in and what's happened before you come. And, you know, things, it can be really tough. We have some days that are really, really, really hard at the library. And the staff is amazing and really lead with kindness and empathy in the work that they do. So I'm appreciative for that.
Yeah, I also just want to I utilize the library mostly honestly through my phone. Like through the Libby app and all that type of thing. But my kid is there all the time. And I do, like yesterday, I met a friend who lives, 30 minutes away to knit in one of the meeting rooms. And my kid could go to the teen room. And when that's why I live in Greenfield, is so that my kid can go from the middle school right down the street to the rec room, to the library, to home, and all be on his own as an 11-year-old. It's not common. And even today, he did the same thing today and it's playing D&D with.
Oh yeah.
But it's full. And I think it is one of the most diverse places. I held a couple budget sessions in the room, the community room, I think, whichever the smaller one is. And some people just moseyed in and asked questions, and some people came for that event, but it is really just a huge asset. And I've been going to the Greenfield Library now for 18 years. And so it's really wonderful to have it.
Well, I'm really proud of the staff and the work that they do. It's a space that's twice as large as former library, and twice as busy, and they do an amazing job. And I'm also really grateful to the community for showing their support as well. I think everyone should be proud of the library and the community. And, I think our 5-year plan going forward is going to be interesting. I'll be sharing in the fall when it's all done. We'll have some, sessions at the library where people can come and learn about the results of that planning process and what we're going to be doing going forward. So next year I'll have some more for you probably, but it's exciting to see the responses and what people are interested in and how they think a library fits into their lives and in their community. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Feel free to totally sidestep this if you don't want to answer it. But does the proposed library in Montague have an effect on your long-term planning or any of your functions?
I don't think so. So as I said, the MBLC has very strict requirements on library hours and services based on the population of your town. One thing that's been really interesting with the strategic plan is seeing how many people, one of the first questions is, do you reside in Greenfield? If not, if it's yes, then you check the box. If no, it's you have the opportunity to put in where you are from. And it's really interesting to see that I would say 1/3 of the respondents are from other towns, but that's because we're open the most hours of any other public library in Franklin County. So that doesn't take away from them, and it certainly isn't bad for us, but I think it goes to show how different towns serve different populations and different needs. One thing I will say is that my staff is feeling a little stressed because there is some negative about the Montague project, and they're feeling a little PTSD.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
they're feeling very, we're not getting involved at all. And that's not our area. It's not our town. That's their town. And that's some of my staff actually live in Turner's. So they're involved, but we don't talk about it. But I do know that staff have said, yeah, I feel like this is happening again. And the MBLC has these wonderful grants for libraries, and many libraries have been are new or renovated. So the Tilton Library in South Deerfield had a massive addition renovation that just is, well, they're still wrapping up, but it is open. I think it was Shutesbury has a brand new library, which is amazing. The Jones Library in Amherst is having a massive addition or renovation. So it's going around. Massachusetts believes in its public libraries. And so they are making that investment with these grants. Absolutely, yes, every town has to take that burden on as well. But certainly read up on it, do your homework. And it's a long-term investment. You have to figure where you fit in that, to what you're willing to do as a resident in that town. So for now, I think, we're trying to stay out of it, but we wish them well in the entire process. And it's, I feel for them. Yeah. It's going to be really divisive as what's here, but
Great. Thank you so much.
very much. Thank you for your hard work too.
Okay, licensing, 83. Oh, it is past 8, so we can let's do licensing and then we'll take a 5-minute break.
Okay, licensing is super easy.
Yes. 83.
So what happened in licensing, we had a person that's been dropped down to 4 with a significant savings associated with it. That 0.4 person also does accounts payable in the accounting office. So the total, there's some bit of advertising, there's some bit of office supplies for that for $1,100. Salary went from about 50 something to 12,000.
Yeah, that's
yeah. So it's a 75% drop in that one. So savings, we consolidated jobs, making things more efficient.
Great. Any questions on licensing?
Yeah.
Awesome. It is 8:16. We will resume at 8:20, please. Okay, we are back and we did licensing. We are at planning, which is page 91. Yeah.
I don't see Ella here, but.
Oh, she did send an email, I believe.
Okay, so you're all set?
Yeah.
She said she was gonna send a bit.
Yeah, I think she did send. This one is extreme, like literally flat. So I don't know if does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, we'll
She
just,
said it took 4 days.
yeah.
Into a 5 to 4 days.
Otherwise, we'll just move to procurement. This is the thing is sometimes things are called something and then they're called something else. But I don't think that's an actual thing, so I don't know what that means. We're gonna skip procurement because it does not exist. We're gonna go to recreation.
We won't be procuring in
163. Next year we'll do it in reverse. So
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
This and I.
We're gonna start sliding up, so everybody can be down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 20 years.
Was it 1?
154.
54.
Welcome. Hello.
So I think everybody knows me. I'm Christy, Recreation Director. Surprisingly, I've been here. This is my 19th year at the helm of this table. So just a quick little review about some of our core responsibilities. We do a lot with youth and family services. We operate after-school programs at Federal and at Four Corners that provide a safe and supervised care for critical after-school hours. Currently, we manage the rec room, which is the highlight of tonight, as you guys know, with our youth center coordinator, welcoming a space for the middle school ages. During the summer, we operate a licensed summer camp for 8 weeks for kids who need childcare as well. Again, offering a safe and engaging and enriching recreational experiences, seated home bases at the swimming area for that. And we deliver year-round programming that builds confidence, social connections, life skills for youth. Then we also oversee parks, playgrounds, and facilities. We assist with DPW. We pretty much oversee the parks, playgrounds, and pavilions. We operate and staff the Green River swimming area. We coordinate the field scheduling for ball fields and facility use for all the pavilions. Again, encouraging safety and accessibility and stewardship of our recreational assets for the city. We plan to implement park and facility improvement projects, pursue grant funding like the skate park, the dog park, and other alternative resources for capital enhancements and improvements. With youth employment and workforce development, we are pretty much the first place for youth in our community to have their first job. We teach responsibility, teamwork, leadership, and workplace communication, which is really essential in today's work environment. We offer mentorship and supervision that prepares youth for long-term employment success. So really, we quietly develop the next generation of workers and leaders for our community. Then, as many of you know, we're in charge of all the community events, which has a huge economic impact on our city. With the Winter Carnival, the Triathlon, which is 42 years running strong, the longest running in New England, the fireworks celebration, which is upcoming. And if you haven't made your donation, I still need to fundraise $20,000 for that. So I'll gladly accept that. If you want to write a check tonight, I'll take it. We just finished Mutts and Mayhem, which is an obstacle course for a human and your dog. And we had 91 people registered for that from all over New England. As far as New York City, Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, they come all over, even in Albany for this event. And then, throughout the year, we do all kinds of education. Like tomorrow we have home safety, we have babysitting, we do CPR, we do first aid, anything to help benefit the citizens in our community. So really what we do is delivers measurable value beyond its operating budget that we're going to look at tonight. Through efficient management, strong partnerships, a high community engagement, the department maximizes every dollar that we get for our department. So with that, I think it's pretty obvious. You guys have had a lot of feedback. My department is currently has 4 people. The mayor's proposal has 3 with the removal of the youth center coordinator. We've also lost our temporary full-time wages, which helps offset the lifeguards and all the seasonal employees at the pool. The pool operates by $0 from citizens. It's all funded through pool passes, daily passes, as well as facility rentals. And just as an example, last year, it was a record heat. It was the only year that we were in the positive. There's been years that we are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in the hole, and we have to cover that by summer camp and every other revenue generating from T-ball, basketball, all that kind of stuff. So that is not in the operating budget that you're seeing here tonight. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. DPW handles like sand replacement and some of that kind of stuff. And then our ordinary expenses have not changed. They're 1010, 10,100, which is the basic office supplies of dues and memberships, meetings, minimal office supplies, licensing, and the purchase of services. And that for us is the water testing that we have to submit a sample. We took it today. Every week we have to do a water sample for the swim area to ensure it's safe for people in the public. Pretty much that's it. It's a tiny budget for a lot that we give to the community, with one less this year.
So I think we're gonna have some questions, but this one is a very hard one. I'm very emotionally invested in the rec room, personally. And so I know that we heard that we can only have, so initially when we had this conversation, like over a month ago, the idea was that this could be backfilled with revolving, but now we know that we can only use the 18 hours. So like, if this budget stays as is into 2027, what does the reality of the rec room look like? Like even with the 60%?
And the rec department general.
Yeah.
Doesn't that position also?
Well, I want to talk specifically about the rec room because the questions that I'm receiving, like literally tonight on text messages on a rec room parents thread that I'm on, are like, even with the 60% increase, which is significant, like I'm a 2-parent household with both working parents, and it's like a lot to take in that our childcare bill would go up that when my kid's, 11, like I'm out of the young childcare phase. And
Right.
So even with that increase, like would there be rec room as is? Is that actually a feasible thing that we would have after school care next year?
So with this position eliminated, there will be no rec room. There will be no middle school programs. Like next week is the last Rec the Night. There will be no summer programs that are designed specifically that are free for the middle school. Because that position runs all that stuff. We have a brand new program supervisor because one had left in December, so we rehired. Thankfully, the mayor was willing to allow us to do that, but like she's brand new. She's only been here a few months. She's like overwhelmed just trying to understand everything that we do, which is nonstop, 7 days a week,
Right.
holidays, evenings, weekends. Like it says 37 and a half hours. The only time it's 37 and a half hours for our department is if we take vacation for a week or we're sick for a week. Like, I want to be very clear how much extra our department does for this city. And if you averaged out the wage, we'd be making pennies. But we do it because it's something that we love. We're passionate about it. And it's important for our citizens and the youth. Like, we're all about the youth. We mentor. You don't want to know the things that we deal with on a daily basis at the swim area where there's transient people in and out. We're protecting kids every day. It's a public space. So there's sometimes that we need to escort people out. Like, we deal with that. We call the police if we need it, but you're talking like 16, 17, 18-year-olds that deal with that in a public space, and all of our other parks as well. Like we rent facility space at the Green River swimming area. I mean, at the Green River Park, where, as we all know, there's a lot of people that live in the woods, and they're fine, but we have to like make sure that they know that this is rented. Like you can't be here right now. And some people aren't comfortable having those conversations, but that's what we do. And some of them are kids, and I train them. My staff trains them to be able to have those kind of conversations with people.
Mayor, is this an area where if unrestricted government aid comes in, you are looking to refund this position?
So, you know, I have a list and with priorities. And you know, it's on the list, but it's not at the top.
So we know, I know.
And I don't think, I just want to say, we had talked about this last year. Recreation, it was actually 3.49. And it was very difficult. We had that rate on the books for last year. I think that some of this has to be commensurate with, you know, expenses. Well, I would be hoping that perhaps they could do a part-time position or a couple of part-time positions to cover that. I think I've talked with you and certainly with others about the cost of childcare. And this year it was, I think, $400 a year for after school, and it is going up. It plans to go up on that, but that's what it costs a month at the YMCA and other places. So
Like the Y doesn't even have a program for this age group though.
I'm just, you know, talking about child care. So if you go to the grocery store, you know that prices have gone up, like cost of things, everything's gone up. So the cheese, you know, needs to go up as well. But if I do have a list of things, I coalition, and I know that you have a child that attends this.
Yeah, this is, I think, I think beyond, like when I try to separate out my own feelings, which I can I'm obviously very invested in this, and it's, you know, a community that I'm a part of. And so like full disclosure, but I also think that this is something that really, like, it has such a huge impact on our kids. Like, it really is a preventative measure. And we are in a time where we already live in a county in Massachusetts where we have a disproportionate number of youth that are funneled into the criminal justice system for the amount of youth that we have. And if we have more kids that are just leaving school at 2:10 and on the street in this age range, like, I know I have an almost 12-year-old, like, it's gonna be mischief. It's gonna be getting into trouble. And there's no supervision. And I mean, you know, I can't express, like, I think Anna said, and like Christy and I have talked about before, like the level of need in this community, like the level of need of middle schoolers is so intense just developmentally, but then the level of need in this community is so intense. Like, you know, parents can maybe pay that couple $100 a session to send their kids and know that their kid is somewhere until maybe they get out of school, they get out of work or whatever. I just feel like this is going to have such a disproportionate impact. And I also feel like it's one of those things where we are trying to, there's like this balance of us in the city of trying to fund things that are going to attract families and young people into our school system and our communities. I'm like really worried about what this is going to mean in the long run. And so I was hoping that, Christy, you were going to come and say, we can move this around and we can do 18 hours and we can, you know, make it work. Although I feel like, you know, if I was Will, like in your positions cut, it's very hard to retain people when we're in a climate where at any minute you no, your position can be cut, or you lose your position that was a full-time position and you're down to half-time. Like it just becomes unsustainable.
Right, and then that, as Donna had said in public comment, like it's 18.25 of service hours. So that doesn't take into effect the planning, the coordination. Like he brings people in from UMass to do all kinds of cool science stuff. Like we actually wrote a grant. We have computers and we have a plan to do all kinds of like bridge building and all kinds of cool stuff with IT. That's why Fernando kind of joked at the comment of like, I'm waiting, and I am waiting. The school ends on the 17th and we don't have that software and technology ready. Even though like Will just had the police in and we did digital safety and security on the internet and all that kind of stuff. And so the rec commission and I went round and round. We had different scenarios with changes and everything. And we did increase the fees to 60%, but that covers all the expenses of, we feed them snack every day. These kids come starving. Some of these kids eat lunch at 10:30.
Yeah.
By the time they get to us, they're starving. So sometimes it's multiple snacks, and it's not just like a bag of chips. Like we get fruit every day. Like they need to have good food. And some of these families, as you guys know, are in the low poverty level. Like they don't have fruit at home. So we want to give them good food. And so like, the magic wand for me is to replace this position. Like we gave scenarios of like taking away our $10,100 and our $7,500, and the Friends of Recreation would try and fundraise. We just cannot pay a position out of revolving that is full-time and benefited. It's illegal. And the mayor knows that. We've gone round and round about that. And then the other after-school programs, because they get out later, like we can make that work. But I can tell you, at times it's a staffing nightmare. Like today, I had to cover 2 different places. Kelly had to go to one and then bounce to the other because they're kids. They call out like this, and it's last minute. And if I don't have staff to like move people around, then we're not in compliance, and we can't have a licensed, which is licensed through the Early Education and Care childcare program at the elementary schools.
So sorry, Mayor, can you tell us where on the priority list this lies? Like how far down are we? I know we talked about in the first meeting, we talked.
Aging is one of the ones where we spend. I just want to tell you that I don't do any of these things lightly.
Yeah.
We spend the least and have the least staffing at our senior center. So although that cut didn't resonate with any of you, that's where we actually were currently being a full-time social worker there. I looked at many other municipalities that were sized the same way we are, with about the same amount of income, and we are so far below on what we spend and how we are staffed at the senior center. So that would be one of my things that I would be thinking of for bumping up the help in. And, you know, just as an FYI, I definitely looked at like 8 other towns as far as staffing for recreation. There wasn't one. It's like us that had 4 full-time employees.
Right, but if you look at the some of the, I don't know what towns you looked at, but if you look at like East Hampton, Northampton, they have a middle school after school program that's run by the schools.
Fine, you know, so at any rate, you know, for priorities to be putting that, dispatch, fire, police, IT, we need to get fingerprinting back here in town. I think you're probably all aware that that's something I wrote about with Joe Comerford about. Any of our volunteers that want to volunteer in the schools, they have to go to Westfield.
What happened to Staples?
It's done.
They don't do it anymore?
It's done for a while.
You can go to
I did it
Athol.
last year.
My childcare people have to do
I
the
had to
same
go
thing.
Athol and they closed, right? So they're not doing it there either.
Right, so that's a big thing at the school committee, something else that, you know, you're aware of the things that you are involved in, that's a nightmare in the schools. And
us.
So I just talked with Anna where we didn't make any cuts there because we had so many safety things that happened there as well. And to see if somebody else could pick up the fingerprinting, but they actually do 145, or we're doing 145 people being fingerprinted per month. And I guess each one of them takes about half an hour, 45 minutes, so that's another staff person. So, if we, my hope was that this could be filled using a couple of part-time people. Or maybe a couple of part-time people that were doing, and I did talk with Christy about that for the program supervisor. I'm just saying a reality, there was almost $1 million that needed to be cut.
I have some thoughts and questions, I guess. So, I mean, we heard from the GBA and a lot of people at the last council meeting that they're concerned about not having enough funds for downtown policing. And I'm wondering, like, are we taking into consideration, like, how much more policing is going to happen when you have unfed kids and you have kids who don't have supervision? And like, that is going to be a lot of public safety money that we're spending. Furthermore, we've had over 50 people ask us to put this position back. Like, at what point does that outweigh, like, the public outreach outweigh? I don't know.
I would like to address some of this, because so far, I mean, we can all direct all our questions at the mayor, and they're cherry picking one specific issue. And what I don't like about it is it seems like someone doesn't value kids. And that is not this at all, because your department and everyone works for it has done phenomenal work. Phenomenal. I've had tons of comments about this, and it's a heated position, but I also talk to retired people that can't pay their insulin. They can't live in their homes because of the tax increases. They also cannot afford the grocery increases. So there are massive things in our city. We live in a poor city, and it's not just kids. It's not just middle school. It's not grade school. And I speak to me very personally about the seniors, and it's really bad right now. It's really bad for them. So when we take one issue and we put all of that on it, that's like, bad mayor, you don't like children because of this one program, I just start to get.
John, I just want to stop you for 1 second as the chair. I want to say clearly that I don't think anybody has insinuated, said, or implied that the mayor is targeting any specific departments or is saying
I'm just putting
that
it
the
out there. I just want to put, because
that the mayor doesn't like children or is targeting children. I've met one-on-one with the mayor about this. I've met one-on-one with Christy about this. I totally understand that there is decisions. Many departments lost people, and I have talked to people who have been affected by those losses, and we've heard a lot of community outcry specifically about this position being lost. So it's not about targeting the mayor for the hard choices that she's had to make this year. And I think we've had a very respectful debate throughout the tenure of this entire budget season that's been actually way better than I thought. But so I just want to be clear, like, Mayor, if that was from my words that I was insinuating that you're doing this because, like, you don't care about the children of the city, that is not what I am saying. I feel like that I have a responsibility to my constituents as well as to my children as a parent in the city to advocate in an area that I do think has historically been underfunded. And so for you too, John, I just want to be clear that the outcry that I've heard on loss of positions has been about this position, the potential of a loss for a downtown officer. I've heard a lot of outcry about, but this is not, and dispatch, but this is not a personal attack on the mayor for the choices that she's had to make. I have said multiple times, I would not want to be in the position the mayor is in this year because she had to make $2 million worth of hard decisions, So I just want to be clear that's not the
because I just want to make sure we're not going down it, because it gets the political discourse we've had over the last several years. It gets so hard that you don't want anyone to run anything.
Totally.
And so as long as they're just very, very hard decisions.
Yeah. I think my focus and the focus that I would like us to have as a committee moving through this discussion and moving into the council meeting next week, 2 weeks. I don't even know what time is, but is more about solutions and less about who made the decisions and how the decisions were made and historically what's happened. And actually about, like, okay, where can we find the dollar amount that we need for this? And when could it potentially, like, if we have free cash that gets certified, if we have this $4 million in unrestricted government aid that comes in, can we expect that we would fund, like, where are we on this list? Like, I want to talk about tangible solutions.
Because that's what I want to talk about.
Yes.
Is there a fix for this? That's my question. So let me ask some stupid questions and you'll tolerate me.
There's no such thing as a stupid.
Oh, yeah, there is, trust me.
I work with kids every day.
So you do have a revolving fund. And in that revolving fund, you can fund a part-time or some part-time positions. That's the question I have. Is it possible at this point to save the program to fund 2 part-time positions out of the I have no idea how much is in the revolving fund. It could be $1.95, but my assumption is that there is some money there. Can you do 2 part-time positions out of the revolving fund in order to have folks cover the program?
We wouldn't, because you need to have continuity and consistency with these kids. You need to develop the relationships, and that's what Will has done. He's been here almost a full year. And some of these kids, when he first got here, didn't even want to talk to him because he's a guy. He's 6'2", maybe. I'm not sure how tall he is, but he's like very tall and can be scary to middle school kids. So it took him months to like develop relationships. And like, even in after school, the part-time, there's constant turnover. And if you don't have continuity and consistency, then your program numbers are going to say stale or decline. So our numbers in the rec room, this is our third year, fourth year, continue to increase because of what we've built. So as far as being able to do part-time people, yes, but you have to look, we're already in the hole 7,500 for revolving to cover pool salaries. So I just want to make that
How
clear.
many hours are you covering for the pool through revolving?
We have to cover everybody.
Everybody. Okay.
Like camp generates money. If camp has a positive, then that helps offset
And does that
lifeguards.
eat into the 18 hours total that you can fund? I guess I'm confused on that. Is it 18?
Because they're seasonal.
Okay.
So I can pay them full-time because they're seasonal. They get no benefits.
Gotcha. Okay.
And go ahead.
Can we increase fees more for
We did, John. We increased the fees to 60%.
everything though? I mean, you have
No,
pool fees, you have
for
daily.
rec room.
No, but all that money goes into your revolving account. That's
But
not
some
just that
people
program.
can't pay that.
Exactly.
But I mean, this is my point. It's not just rec room. People can't pay, like you said, you pay food. How much has food inflation costs gone up?
Well,
I'm just saying
I think
sometimes the
thing about
state fee has to go up.
the thing about the pool fee is that, like, I actually already think it's inequitable that we have a fee in our city to use our river. I think since I moved here and couldn't afford to pay the fee because I was in public housing, I've been like, this is insane that the only place you could bring your kids safely on the river, we have to pay, is it $65 as a resident?
For a family.
For a family pass. Like, that was unattainable for me when I moved here and had one child. And so, like, in our dream scenario where we have a revenue that is, we're in the black every single year by enough money to fund everything, we have a free public pool because that's a public entity, a public utility that we should all have access to. And so there's a level of, like, when we raise our fees, like, it's like, everyone's dealing, you're saying with food, everyone's dealing with this with their budget right now. Like, how many things can go up 10%, 15%, 60% before you just have to say, we don't get that. And it's like not fair that our kids don't get this. It's not fair that our seniors don't get this. It's not fair. None of it's fair. And that's why I'm like, well, we can't fight amongst ourselves about this because no one's making the decision other than the powers that be above us. Sorry, Maisie had something.
Can I answer John's
Yes,
question?
go ahead.
So John, every year the rec commission votes on fees for every single program in November or December. And we analyze like the cost center for every single program, from T-ball to basketball to after school. And so we make adjustments. But as Councilor Bullock just said, like, we can't continue to out cost our residents. Like, they're already paying taxes for the services that we provide, and then to pay on top to go to the pool. Like I said, like, the the pool expenses itself, last year was the only year we were in the positive, 7,700. In 24, we were in the hole 19,000. In 23, we were in the hole 31,000. In 22, we were in the hole 6,500. And the only way we cover that is from revenue that comes in as a whole. I never asked the mayor or previous mayors, because obviously this mayor hasn't been here with all these big negatives, for money, or you guys to backfill, because we figure it out somehow, because that's what we do. But I can't do that without people.
A full-time person, because you've said you won't do it with a part-time.
We can't.
Well,
We
you
don't
can't, if
the
you,
demand. And also, sorry,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
like that person also helps at events. That person also answers the phone, answers emails. Like it's constant flow. It's like that person is like majority of their time, because they're the youth center coordinator, is planning and running the programs and all the other programs for middle school. But then it helps in the office.
so like, just as an example, there was, the kids in the rec center built sleds and did other entries for the winter carnival. And then Will was there all weekend through the winter carnival with those middle schoolers, like who entered the cardboard sled race and entered. And so it's like, there's 20 hours of time where he is with youth on site after school, which already exceeds the 18, and that doesn't even include like cleanup. If I've been late and you've been standing outside with Will and my child, like if a parent is late for pickup or whatever, it doesn't, like, I can understand, like, as much as I want to be like, make it work with 18 hours or 20 hours, like it would be putting an undue burden on a staff person and a risk, I think, to youth. To do it that way. But we had Maisie and the mayor both wanted to say something. So, and youth. So let's go Maisie first.
Yeah. My question is, after the March 30th meeting, how much in your budget you had that discussion around negotiating your budget again with the mayor? How much is the difference between what you're asking for and what the mayor is offering?
So Donna, she's referring to your document.
Right, so, we talked about it at our meeting and so just strip out all of the fees and all of the temporary service. So if you're looking at this, these were the fees, et cetera, included. So we basically let it down. We reduced it by 17,000. And the mayor wanted it reduced by 51. So we were still, in the $30,000 in the whole range, And as I stood before you tonight, or as Dan read the rest of my comments, like even if we could get this position funded at 80%, we would try to make it work.
So what is that?
What do we need? What is that number? That would require a little bit of mathing.
I have it, Donna.
Okay.
So, if we had the 30-hour position and kept the 10,100, which is our ordinary operating expenses, the cost would be 290,708.
That would be the whole budget.
That's budget.
That's for all the.
That's him at. Well, I shouldn't say him. The position, because he's interviewing. There's no secret, that would have that position at 80%.
296.
290,708. Yep. And that means the youth center coordinator cost, the salary individual will be 41,345. Obviously, this depends on contracts and that kind of stuff.
And that includes the benefits. Or is there no benefits at that?
$30,000. You have to have $30,000.
Benefits are separate. That goes in
the position that you have, and I just want to reiterate that if I'm looking to cut $1 million, I'm adding $30,000 to every position that's cut to the benefit commission.
So that
which is why, and I've made that agreement with other department heads.
Go ahead. No, I was going to ask you a benefit question, but you can keep going. Do we know what the benefit reduction is for GIC per person? Is it still 30,000?
It will be.
Depends on what they choose.
Right, but she uses 30, so.
It's an average $30,000 per person. But, between the retirement and benefits, we don't know what that is. So a $51,000 position, if I make an adjustment, I count this an $81,000 position. And with each department, if you have veterans come up next, we go through, and he's responsible for how many other towns. So there's a lot to think about with each one. There are other municipalities that are doing an after-school program with part-time positions. If they had the program supervisor, they get a new person. If that were a part-time position, maybe that would have been better for them. I suggested that as well. But, you know, it's a series of choices that have to be made within a city. So I don't look at that as $51,000.
Right. Yeah, you can't look at it as 51. I understand that.
And my response about the program supervisor is that that person is in charge of all the other sports programs. Like that person has so much more responsibility. So obviously that is not our top choice.
It's a different role.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a question.
Yes.
We've been doing a lot of comparing our rec department to other towns and cities, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I just feel like Greenfield Rec is like one of the things that Greenfield has, and it's part of like our economic development plan. And maybe could you compare what your rec department in Greenfield does that's different than other rec departments, other towns?
I guess I don't really have lots of stuff in front of me to share about that, but like we're like, for instance, like I'm the certified playground inspector. I don't know if other parks directors have that, because normally it's Parks and Rec, and I would have a group of individuals who help maintain parks. Like we have to rely on DPW, and as you know, they get pulled in different directions. All the special events that bring economic benefits, like at the fireworks alone, we average 10,000 people that we bring in that buy gas, buy food at our local vendors, and whatever else in our community.
Which is not funded. I think that's an important thing, because every year, I don't know if you all do, but I get questions from taxpayers about like, why do we pay for fireworks, but we don't pay for fireworks with taxpayer dollars? That's fundraised. And so it's like they raise their own money to put on the fireworks, and then they bring 10,000 people into the city who spend money. You know, and same thing with the Mutts of Mayhem that day. I was like, why are the restaurants so crazy? And it was.
And we promote like our local restaurants and businesses so that people go there. Like the Try, like we work with our local hotel. I'm really happy that we're going to have other options, because there's only the one that we try and encourage people to use. So I think like what's different about us is that we do more economic development, because some of the smaller towns don't have that. And then everybody comes here. Everyone comes here for our programs, because the hill towns don't have departments like us. Like we are the county seat for a reason. Everyone comes here to grocery shop. Everyone comes here for doctors and that kind of stuff. And everyone comes here for our parks. Like we have like beautiful parks and trail systems and playgrounds.
What are you losing from that aspect with losing Will or this position?
As far as events, yeah, that's one less person with events. Like, you know, like either we're going to have to eliminate some events, or we're just going to have to do less at events, because it's a human body. Like we can only work so many hours and do so many things, and we are overtaxed with 4 people.
And I think the thing is too, like if you think of the size of the events that are put on, like the Rag Shag Parade, right? There's like, I don't even know, thousands of people downtown. Like that's a huge event. And to have 3 people, I mean, there's volunteers, the storefront, but it's, and like Will's at that, like even though it's rec department, it's like an all hands on deck thing.
And it's like a puzzle. We have to move around. Like I said, like today's Heather's birthday. She's supposed to be off, but we were all in different places covering after school. I had to ask her to come in to run her program. And of course she would, because she cares about the program. It's the Start Smart little 3 to 5 year olds. Like you're not going to cancel for them. It's finally not raining, you know? And that's the kind of teamwork that we have in the overlapping collaboration.
I mean, the final thought I have is that, I've heard from people who are like, if you keep, like, this isn't like the mayor hates kids, but or any of that. It just what I'm hearing is that if we keep underfunding services that kids use, we're not going to get families to live here, and people are going to continue to choice out and move away. And so my concern is a long-term economic picture. Like, what is this doing? That's all.
I do have a question. There were not always 4 positions though, right? In the rec department?
This is the third year.
Okay.
It's the third year. And this year I've had a part-time position. Just want to be clear to start it. But because you were doing the work and had already advertised for it, at that point, which is what was starting to come up in terms of being advertised. So you had people, and I thought I was hard, because they do work, as hard as Christie's saying, it's unbelievable. But it is not just their department that works that hard. Almost everyone that I know works far more than 40 hours. You're looking at people in this game that do that right now.
Yeah.
But this has only been 4 positions here. This is the third year now. We'll be going into year 4. And if you're looking at an overall budget of where you are going to make cuts, I'm just saying I did a lot of comparisons first. And I want that program to continue, and I want it to continue however they decide to do it. But I think it needs to be with part-time people. You should look at what other municipalities have as far as recreation. 1 full-time or 2 full-time, or 1, and then there's a lot of part-time positions. I think that's what we need to do here. I'm sorry, but I do. I think that we need to fill part of these positions with part-time positions for which we are charging sufficiently. I took my little kids to the river. They're now like 15 and 14, but Christy knows that. For years they went there, but the fee for that, whether or not we should charge, it's been $65 for a family since my kids were little. And for a senior, it's been $65 a year for a family for a while. So whatever it is, everything has gone up, and you have to make choices when you're doing budgeting.
Yeah, and then I'm just one more round of questions, and then I'm going to move us forward because we take all this information. I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation because, there's very specific times for the public to know that we can have these conversations and ask these questions openly. And then we obviously have to do our deliberations. And I mean, for the public that might not know, like, we can't say, okay, we're taking $50,000 from here and moving it into there and do this. Like, that's not how our role as our fiduciary responsibility works, city. So, sorry, we had Maisie and then, no,
I'm done.
okay.
So how was this funded before the 4th position? 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago?
It didn't exist. Roxanne, Mayor Rita Gardner, when she campaigned, she wanted to bring back the teen center, and that was her mission to bring it back.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for the rec department? Okay. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for staying this late.
Of course, and I just want to apologize for Chris for having to wait through all of this.
If I'm here next year, I'll let you go first. Okay, we have. Oh, wait, well, do we have retirement? Is retirement in here? No. But let's do that one real quick.
Yeah.
That's on my list. Do we even have a budget for retirement?
No, well, retirement is one of the benefits that is every year. There is a person that works in retirement, Sherry Hilda, however, she is funded through the retirement,
Right.
but your retirement, which is one of the things one should really be looking at. I'm just going to say this. I said this when we had our little class. The end of the book is what we should be looking at most. Because what you're doing, we spent whatever time that we will spend on like one department and their cookies that they order, or the owner that goes to the clerk's office or the publicity. You go look at retirement at the end of the book, it's up $500,000 every year. And that's another reason why when the mayor says something about how many benefited positions we have, you have to listen to me about that. Oh, you don't have to listen to me about that?
You want
At all.
to.
At all. You don't actually have to listen. But the mayor can't do this. I can't balance
Can we
this.
pause? What page do you want us to be looking at real quick? I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what
It does not have it in the.
Okay, it's a very important. We started with this. And it is on page.
Oh, contributory retirement, 161.
Contributory retirement is on page 161. And it is up $500,000, $500,000 from last year. So some of the very hard choices that I had to make involved benefited positions. And so the number of people that you have in retirement, and we do have a higher number of people that get benefits than other municipalities that are our size. And you absolutely must look at that. And there may be more positions in the last department that we talked to that should honestly be paid out of part-time positions. Wonderful things that can be done part-time with part-time help. Sometimes it's possible to do the same wonderful things that you do. This is how Ina is staffing a lot of her library positions with part-time non-benefited positions. We're hiring people for 14 and a half hours or for 16 hours, and they are doing a huge service with part-time positions. So it's on, there's not a whole retirement department, although they have a board and there is an employee paid out of retirement.
But the big takeaway is we're up 500K.
Yep.
Where is that?
At the top of page 161. And next year, it is going to increase by another $500,000. And the entire budget is supposed to go up $1.4 million. So if you tell the mayor, we must have this, I'm asking you to continue to look at page 161 and to continue to look at the health insurance benefit, which we pay 80% of whatever we have for our wonderful, hardworking, kill themselves employees. And they're fabulous. And you're going to hear from one more of them in a moment. And his department I have tears in my eyes when I think about what the veterans do, what he does for his department. But I feel the same way about each one. It's like being the mother. Like, which child do you not want to take care of? They're fabulous. And all parts of it need to be done. But some of it needs to be done with part-time employees. Next year, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. $1.4 million is what we're supposed to go up for the entire budget. This was the fuel costs going out of, they're like out of control. Fuel and electricity.
Yeah.
They're hiding. Eversource, don't get me started. We're complaining to the Department of Public Utilities. Who you don't have to listen. They don't listen. They certainly don't listen. And it's out of control. And we have to, each one of those buildings, which we should be reducing one of those buildings, we're paying far too much in whatever it is for utilities. So those big numbers mean more than the little ones when you get into, we have 3 people or 4 people, or I cut the toner. That's all.
There's only so much toner.
There's only so much toner, but this year, we could not the budget without reductions in staff.
Right.
We couldn't. It was absolutely impossible. And I'm the one that didn't sleep at night for night after night after night. Patty knows because she brought me something to help me sleep because it's a nightmare. There just was not enough money to go around.
I'm Adela.
Sorry.
All right. We're not incriminating any staff, any legislators or staff in this meeting, please.
Oh, that's off the record.
It was a Tylenol PM. It was a Tylenol PM she got brought.
Tylenol.
Okay, page 65 is treasurer collector. We did not receive a written statement, I don't believe, unless I missed it. Oh, is it on the second page of the agenda? Okay. Oh, yeah. Our budget increased only slightly despite the economy's rising costs, schooling, meetings, seminars. Attending paper envelopes have increased due to the rise of cost of printing W-2s and 1099s. Office equipment costs are due to the higher annual payment for the Quadient folding machine, which multiple departments use within the city.
Yes, the
Is that
most expensive folding machine ever.
So this one also was like, so minimum salary just went up 3%, and then we saw a decrease of 10% in expenses.
So what they cut was, they had 10,000 budgeted for past years forever, for bonding costs, and really don't need to budget for that because of the bond premiums that we get, which are in the, $150,000, $200,000 range. So we just use those to cover bonding costs.
Great. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, now veteran services. We could do our motions before if you are having a fun night. If you're having a fun night with us, then we're a real fun crew. But- What page are we on?
144, 145.
You were, yes, okay. Yeah, welcome.
So, hello, everybody. My name is Chris Demars. I'm the Director of Veteran Services here. We do not just service Greenfield. We are a district. So we have 25 other towns besides Greenfield that we service. So the good thing about that is they pay for some of our costs. So I assess out money to the other towns. This year, we're assessing out about 157,000 to the towns of our overall budget. We're going to get around another $200,000 back this year because of our Chapter 115 fund that we pay out. The state reimburses the city 75 cents to the dollar of every dollar in our Chapter 115 that we pay out to our low income veterans on the last Friday of every month. So there is some money coming in there. So we are a 4-person office. Our office is mandated that any veteran service office, anybody considered a veteran service officer, has to be a veteran. So out of our office, we only have one non-veteran. Laura is our veteran service agent. She doesn't write claims or anything like that. So she is our only non-veteran in our office. She's the only one that actually gets insurance through the town because the rest of the veterans we get to the VA. So we do save you $90,000 in incurred costs and insurance and stuff every year because we use the VA for insurance. So we are down one individual right now. And we were going to wait until the 1st of July to rehire. But unfortunately, my advisory board, every town has somebody in the advisory board, got wind that we're down a person and they want to know what we're doing to replace that person. And I said, well, we're going to wait till July. And they said, no, you're not, because we're out of compliance because we do fall under a lot of mass general laws. So because of our population base of all our towns, we have to have 4 people in our office. So we waited a little bit. We applied, we just, advertised. So we will hire somebody. It's not 1st of July, probably a little bit earlier. We just saved this town some money because we went about a month and a half, 2 months without salary on one person. So my budget for our salaries is going to be lower than what I projected. So first week of January every year, I'm sending out my assessments and budget to all the other towns because some of these towns are calling me in August asking me to pay my budget. And I tell them you're not getting until January. So whoever I bring in to replace my person that resigned on us is not going to come in at that salary at that $58,000. They're going to come in a lot lower because they're not going to be trained. They're not going to know how to do that. They're not at that higher level. So we are going to come in a little under our salary budget. The big things to look at, which really affect our budget, is if you go about halfway down the second ordinary allowances, fuel allowance, medical benefits, burial allowance, and the miscellaneous at the very bottom. That's our Chapter 115 fund. That's the money we pay to our low-income veterans. So that changes every year. Some years it goes up, some years it goes down. This year it went down again. Last few years we brought it down. My concern is coming into the next fiscal year, what's going to be going on with that Wilson building.
If that's up and running and they're bringing in people, the VA will see that and their counselors will start doing HUD-VASH vouchers for people to live in those places there, and those will be low-income veterans that we'll have to add to Chapter 150. So I'm not worried about it this year, but next year and the year after, we could have a big jump on our Chapter 150. And so I'll have to keep track. That's something to think of in the future. Everything else is pretty steady. It doesn't change that often. We had the one line item this year, which is the software for $1,500. It's the software that we need to use to file claims. If we don't have that software, it'd take us probably 3 times the amount of time to do a claim on somebody that we do now, and we can barely keep up as it is. So, and we're waiting for the next big hit from the VA to add more things for claims, and once they do that, we're going to get really busy again. It finally caught up from PACT Act, which came through in 2022. We're breathing air right now. We're not behind, which is nice.
Great.
So the Chapter 115 is funded through the city, but it's a state requirement.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And we're the only state in the union that has Chapter 150. There's no other states that have Chapter 150.
Cool.
And if somebody moves from another town, they tell me I'm here for the Chapter 1 from another state, says I'm here for the Chapter 115. Sorry, that's illegal. You can't do that.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
There's a Massachusetts residency for that to be eligible for.
Okay. Any questions?
Pretty clear.
No questions? Wow. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You gotta get to go for this.
Yeah, next year. I can't promise I'll
I
be
was
chair.
just telling
when
Mayor
we-
that the first hour I was actually on a conference. We have to be nationally certified. in
Oh, yeah.
office. So the conference is still going on.
Oh,
I'm not missing.
well, I'm glad you could.
That's in Reno. It's 3 hours back. So.
Yeah. Glad you could multitask.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
You too. Okay, we made it through every department relatively unscathed. Comparatively unscathed. Okay, we are gonna move to our motion. Sorry, page 7. My brain is stopped for the. Yeah, go for it, Max.
Order number fiscal year 26-1 through 6. The city council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered that the city council votes to appropriate the sum of $70,024,736, which is the full amount necessary for the fiscal year 2027 general fund budget, July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. To meet said appropriation, the following funding sources and amounts will be raised and transferred from parking meter receipts reserved, $250,000, pension stabilization, $200,000, raise and appropriate, $69,574,736, majority vote required.
I need someone to, make,
So moved.
so yes, I make a second.
Okay.
Second.
Words. Okay, I had Patty first and Autumn seconded it. Okay. Any discussion on this? So if this changes, it just gets amended.
Okay.
Yeah. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, and now we are on the next one, page 17, I believe.
Order number fiscal year 26-1 through 7. The city council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered that the sum of $2,207,731 be appropriated for the fiscal year 27 operations of the water enterprise, and further appropriate the sum of $7,450 to be transferred to the general fund for indirect costs for a total appropriation to the Water Enterprise Fund of $2,815,181 to be raised from the water user rate receipts for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Majority vote required.
So moved.
You.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
I think we're 22 for the next one.
Order number fiscal year 26-138. City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Sorger, move that it be ordered that the sum of $3,152,974 be appropriated for the fiscal year 27 operations of the sewer enterprise, and further appropriate the sum of $742,690 to be transferred to the general fund for indirect costs for a total appropriation to the sewer enterprise fund of $3,895,664 to be raised from sewer user rate receipts for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Majority vote required.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this one? All in favor? And page 27. Thank you for reading.
Order number fiscal year 26-139. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered that the sum of $2,029,701 be appropriated for the fiscal year 27 operations of the Greenfield Community Energy and Technology Enterprise, and further appropriate the sum of $172,500 to be transferred to the general fund for indirect costs for a total appropriation to the GSET Enterprise Fund of $2,202,201 to be raised from GSET user rate receipts for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Majority vote required.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This number will be updated for whatever it needs to be.
Yeah. All in favor? Okay, and page 30 is the last.
Order number fiscal year 26-140. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered to authorize the revolving funds budgets in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E.5 for the fiscal year 2027. Receipts received but not expended in fiscal year 2028 shall be carried over to fiscal year 2028 unless otherwise prescribed in MGL. Majority vote required.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. We don't have anything else on this agenda. Any old business or new business? Okay. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. I believe it's at the fire station, but it does not say it here, so it will be published. But I believe it's at the fire station at 6:30 unless it's at 5:30. I know nothing at this point in the evening, and we will continue our fiscal year 27 operating deliberation and the community preservation conversation.
Right.
I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And I need it. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 9:26 p.m.
Not bad.